Welcome. How are you doing? This is Untethered Live. I'm your host, Jake Johnson. This is the world we live in, and that is the way everything ought to be. Coming to you live from the internet. This is the show about something. Probably. How are you doing? Today we're going to talk about the gun show. Not that gun. And the shootist, Jake. And what's next on the agenda? Hey, Caucasian Sasquatch, what's happening, brother? I'm glad you're alive. I happen to be alive also, which is rare for my condition. How are things? What's going on in your neck of the woods? Hubbard. I wrote a rap this morning at 4 a.m. and sent it to my cousin April. She'll tell you about it when she gets here. It was lovely. I might even read it to you if you hadn't read it already. And probably went out to everybody, actually. If you're a member of the channel, you probably got an alert. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know if it just went to her or if it went to everybody. Either way, it was interesting. It was about Mountain Dew. You'd love it. Every now and then I'll get a wild hair up my butt and write something. It's never enough, but sometimes I impress myself. Not much, was farming various sites for later editing. I hear you. I was working all day today making handbags. I had an afternoon with handbags. Front and back, left and right, up and down, backwards and forwards, inside and out, over and under. Hey, did you hear about William Shatner going into space today? That was interesting. He is 90-something year old, and he went to space for the first time ever in real life. Captain Kirk himself went to space. I don't know why, but that seems fascinating. You don't need bags for your hands? Well, neither do I, but the people that bought them did. There's something like probably 100 of them I did today. And some t-shirts too. And yesterday I did koozies all day. A whole box full of them. Also probably about 100. That's very theatrical, I think. Well, it may be, but it actually happened. He was invited to go into space on Jeff Bezos's penis rocket. It looks like a giant penis like the one in Austin Powers. That's what it looks like. But apparently it's quite the successful ride because they've been up and down in it 3 or 4 times and taken several people. But at this particular day, today, they took William Shatner. And when he got back, he was crying. And he could not find the words to describe what it was he just saw. I guess they were up there 20 minutes, maybe. They wasn't up there very long. I don't think they went all the way around the Earth, but they may have. I mean, you can go around it pretty fast when you're in orbit. I think it's like 90 minutes, though, it takes to go all the way around. Aliens? Nah. No aliens, just William Shatner, and he's 90 years old. What that made me think of, though, was back when I was a kid, they were still doing the astronaut program, and it took like 2 years of intense training I mean, they were even making movies about it, like the movie Armageddon, where they satire the training process, and they put you through every mental uh, gymnastics that you can go through, psychological, physical, emotional, and then they make you train for like 6 months to a year, and then do simulations and just the whole 9 yards, to become an astronaut so that you can go into space. And I remember thinking then, yeah, I'm pretty sure I could survive it. I'm pretty sure I could grit my teeth and get through it. And so William Shatner proved that to me today, because he's 90 years old and managed to make it into space and back alive. Yes, and this raises no red flags, right? I mean, who do you think you're talking to? Of course it raises red flags. I'm just telling you what that news reported. I don't know what they actually did, but it seems interesting to me either way. Whether it actually happened or if there's some grand conspiracy going on. Chances are it was probably done so that you would take your eyes off the ball for a minute. I would say that would be more likely, because they are pushing hard right now to get all your rights. Buzz Aldrin, arguably one of the best pilots in history, didn't make the first cut, but Shatner did at 90. That's my point. That's what I was saying. And I said back when I was 14 or 15 years old, I said that I could probably do it. I thought I could, I didn't think it would take that much effort to go into space. It's not like, the risk is all mine. If the rocket blows up, then I'm dead. That's the worst thing you got to worry about. I can't think of anything more scary than that. Getting sucked out into space, you'd be dead inside of minutes. And it wouldn't hurt. You'd just get cold, and then you'd pass out. Maybe you couldn't breathe, but that wouldn't last very long. Blowing up is much worse, I think. So, if it don't blow up, then all you got to deal with is G-forces. And I'm pretty sure I could do that without passing out. And even if I did pass out, then I wouldn't be conscious of the ride. So, I always thought that it was a big scam anyway to put the astronauts through so much training. And Shatner didn't do any training. He just probably sat in a simulator for 10 minutes and then went and did it. And that was just to get him used to the idea of what he was going to be seeing when he was in there. And that's if it actually occurred. I will say this in earnest truth. I never saw the rocket go off or land, but I saw the news crew rushing up to the rocket after it landed. The pod that comes down in the parachute. So, whatever. I don't know if it's true or not. Yeah, Van Allen was pretty convincing. Now, keep in mind, all they did was go up into orbit and come back down. They didn't actually go to the moon or anything. I'm pretty sure you could do the same thing in a Concorde. Go up right to the edge of the atmosphere and then come back down. So, I'm not exactly happy to call that going into space, but that's what they're calling it. I think that's like going into high Earth orbit, high altitude flight, but you're still in the confines of the Earth. But once you get out maybe 100,000 miles, that's when you encounter the Van Allen radiation belts, and there's 2 of them, and they're quite a big distance across. I'm not exactly sure how big they are, but yeah, low Earth orbit, but still in the atmosphere, like where the space station is. I don't think they got as high as the space station. The space station apparently is 430 miles above the surface of the Earth. That's what they say. And I don't think they got that high. So they were still relatively close to the ground as far as orbit goes. I don't think that they orbited the Earth. I think they just kind of flew up, stayed up there for a minute, and came back down. But nonetheless, they're calling it going into space. And I guess you could say that because from that perspective, you look down and you see blue, you look up and you see black. So I guess you could call that being in space. But I see it a little differently than that because, in my opinion, unless you go past the moon, you're not in actual space. Because the moon is within our atmosphere. A lot of people don't believe that, but it is actually true. Yes, going where several others have gone before, yeah. Quite a few others, actually. There's no big limit on the amount of people that's been up high. I mean, like I said, they didn't go past the space station. It's not like they went to the moon where only 12 people have walked before him, or 12 Americans. I don't know what the other countries have done. And I don't know if they did that, so we'll see about that later on. But that's a topic for another podcast right there. And we could get deep into the moon hoax, or moon conspiracy, rather. Let's not call it a hoax. I wouldn't want YouTube to get jumpy. Anyway, I thought it was rather interesting that Shatner went into space because he's Captain Kirk and for no other reason. All those years of playing space on TV, finally got to see it for real. Coke bottles and coffee cups. Oh, you mean on the moon? Yeah, there was a video that surfaced in the 90s that showed astronauts walking on the moon, and then a Coke bottle rolled by one of their feet. And then that video disappeared shortly thereafter, and I haven't been able to ever find it again. But I did see it with my own eyes. So I know it existed. And where the Coke bottle came from, I don't know, but I would say it was probably in Arizona. In a little area, an area that 50 other people have not been to. But one has. If you know what I mean. That's what I think, but who knows? They say they went to the moon. Who am I to argue with them? However, I could point out a few indiscrepancies and inconsistencies with the narrative. And this is my humble opinion. If we ever went to the moon, you never saw it because that would be top secret. And besides, when they went to the moon, they went on a rocket that they hadn't even tried yet. So they had no idea whether they'd ever make it back or not. They didn't know if they were sending those astronauts to die or on a special mission or what. So I would surmise, not wanting to put dead bodies on national television, that they probably filmed that in a strategic location and then kept the real stuff to themselves. That's my opinion. And I have no doubt that they went. I just don't think anybody saw it on TV. That's what I think. You tell me. What do you think? Hey, Diego, what's happening, brother? TGE Moon. You mean the moon? Yes, sir. The moon. Like the one that's in the sky. Interestingly enough, there's some very interesting moons around Jupiter. And a couple other places. Yes, the moon. Yes. That's what we're talking about. And William Shatner, Captain Kirk himself, went into space today on the Amazon rocket, the big old penis rocket. So they say. Anyway, that's kind of what we were discussing, whether or not he actually did it and how far they actually went. I haven't heard the reports yet, but I would say they just went into low Earth orbit and came back down. I don't think they even went around the Earth. I think they just kind of flew up below where the space station is and came back down. It seems like that would be a lot of insurance to get any further than that. That's just a little bit better than a flight. A flight flies at 35,000 feet, and at 100,000 feet is when actual space begins. So, who knows? 120,000 feet, I think it is. That's as high as a balloon can go without popping one of those weather balloons, I mean. And it pops due to the harshness of the atmosphere being gone. So that's probably about where they got to, where you can see a good portion of the Earth, and if you look up, it's black, and you could probably see stars, who knows. Hey, April, how are you? I did, and thank you very much. I hope you liked my rap this morning. I wrote that just for you, with very sleepy eyes. And we're just discussing William Shatner, the guy that played Captain Kirk, went to space today for the first time ever in the Amazon rocket. Cool. Today is the 1035th anniversary of the birth of King Edward the Confessor of England. Really, did he? Yes, he did. Amazon rockets rock. Yeah, well, the one that he got looks like a penis, but other than that, I guess it does rock. I caused some UFO reports. I built a kite of Mylar for a school project. Interesting. Can't say I've ever done that. I've thought about it, but I've never done it. I always wanted to build like a quadcopter and put a UFO around it, and then put a bunch of Christmas lights on it and fly it across town just to see what people would do. I never got around to it, though. I set it loose from the top of Buffalo Hill and let her fly. My aunt is a flight attendant and is friends with an astronaut. Cool. Has he done any spacewalking? And if so, what mission? Yeah, it's pretty amazing, April. William Shatner is 90 years old and they let him go to space. And like I said, him being 90 years old, I imagine the insurance was astronomical, so I don't think they actually went into space. I think they just kind of went into high altitude flight and then came back down, kind of like what is Apollo? Well, Apollo is a Greek god. More specifically, it's the name of one of the first space programs. The first 12 or 11 rockets, Saturn V rockets that they launched, was under the Apollo moniker. They've been to space to fix satellites and stuff like that, yeah. And so that's probably Discovery and Atlantis, the last couple of shuttles, and they probably, now they're taking Soyuz, which is a Russian rocket. They've been hitching rides with the Russians since Obama was elected because Obama shut down the shuttle program. So now anytime anybody goes into space, they take the Russian Soyuz until SpaceX got off the ground, and now they're going to start contracting with Elon Musk's business called SpaceX. And they've got a spaceport in Texas, and so that'll probably be cheaper and closer for the astronauts to get in and out of space. Hey, Kev. I'm going to have to add something to the title because I didn't know we'd be talking about space today. But it seems like an interesting topic, so roll with it. Baby, I do know a thing or two. I am from Florida, home of the Cape Canaveral Space Center. And yes, I have been there. And yes, I have stood amidst the Saturn V rocket graveyard. And yes, they are humongous. You would not believe how big a Saturn V rocket is. It's like a 50-story building tall. It's huge. No, it wasn't Apollo, April. No, he wouldn't be alive today if it was Apollo. You're talking about his friends, or his aunt's friend who has been to space. No, he probably went on one of the last shuttles, or probably takes the Soviets' uh, uh, rocket into space. The Soviets and the U.S. had a lot of space races back during the Cold War. Well, they only had one space race, but yeah, it was a long one. Good to see everybody tonight. It's good to see you too. Hey, Kev, I don't know if I said that or not, but hello. Built with a slide rule. There's more truth in that than you know. Yes, the Soviets were the first to put a satellite in space, and it was called Sputnik. And it did the equivalent of beep 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 beep, and that's all it did. But more importantly, they put it in space. So it freaked America out, and we had to get busy and put a man on the moon in this decade or the new one because it's hard, or whatever he said. And the dog. Yes, Lycos the dog. Sadly, the dog did not make it back. Yes, Apollo had 13. No, the movie was about number 13. It was about that crew. They almost died. That's why they ended the program, because they liked to not made it home. They had a leak, and they had to figure out how to fix it with the shit they had inside the rocket, which was the equivalent of a vacuum cleaner and a roll of duct tape. So they had to do some brainstorming to get home. They didn't think they were going to make it. They all rode home inside of the moon lander, which is made out of tinfoil, because the rocket decompressed. The pod that they were in, so they couldn't ride in the place they were supposed to ride in. They had to climb out and get inside of the moon lander and ride home on that thing. And that's terrifying. If they'd have got hit by a micrometeorite or something, that'd have been it. That'd have been it for them. Yes, it did, as a shooting star. Yeah, the dog. Hey, there goes Lycos. No, not Apollo 13. They never got to the moon. They had to turn around halfway and come back. They were going to go to the moon, but they had to cancel that mission. That's why they made the movie, because it was a big ordeal. That's not hard to imagine, Diego. I'd assume they probably could. Why do I think that? Well, because Jesus Christ said there's nothing new under the sun, meaning that everything, and I do mean everything, has been done before. There's no new ideas. They're just rehashes of old ideas. And if you look at some of the things that they knew about in the ancient days, there's no way they could have known about it unless they saw it. And they didn't have telescopes. So, for example, there is a tribe in Africa called the Dagon tribe, Dagon, and they have a ritual in which they do a dance around a star, and the star is Sirius, and they have star A and star B. Well, if you look up into the night sky, you see one star. You can't see the other star. They're a binary star system, and they're so close together that from this perspective, it looks like one star. The only way you would know they were two stars is if either you were there and saw it up close, or you had some way of viewing it up close, like with a telescope of immense power, which they did not have in those days. So, how this uneducated tribe of Indians that have never left Africa, who claim to be descendants of Egyptians who moved over there in the ancient days and stayed there, who have no technology at all whatsoever, how they know that Sirius is a binary star system is beyond everyone. And nobody, even to this day, nobody knows how they know. And if you ask them, they will tell you they were there. That's where they came from. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they say. Having a little trouble breathing today. The U.S. had the honor of the planting of the flag on the moon. Yes, so they say. No, it was not Apollo 13 that landed on the moon. I'm just reading up the chat because I think I missed something. Sounds pretty woke. What did I miss there? Oh, yeah. In those times, they had special powers, didn't they? No. No, people have always been people. There was a period in time where a group of people mated with angels, and their offspring could do things that we can't do because they are part celestial. But those people died out, as far as I know. There is no real way to know whether they survived the flood or not. But the purpose for the flood was to kill them. Lots of moon phases. Yep, 27 of them. It's the mold and the pollen. Absolutely thick in Georgia. You think that's why I can't breathe? I think it's just the mold and the pollen. Oh, okay, they were destroyed. That's what the purpose of the flood was. I don't know. The Bible says that as in the day of Noah, so will the end times be. So apparently we're going to have another influx of fallen angels or hybrid people angels at some point. I don't know when that's going to be or if it's now. But I do know that the Bible says that like it was in the days of Noah, it'll be at the end of the times. So I'm guessing that's after the Antichrist comes. I don't have any way to back that up or any knowledge into that theory other than what the few words the Bible says about it. I still believe that we all have the power of God blessed us with a particular gift. Well, that's true. There are 7 gifts from God and quite a few other things like discernment and understanding and clarity of thought and those sort of things. But there are 7 major gifts from God, the gift of healing and such. I respect our reptilian robot overlords. Let's go, Brandon. And also, it is my belief, I don't know that I can back this up with anything biblical, but I believe that Jesus came as an example to mankind to show how to live as a man, to be righteous, to not make mistakes and not make sins and so forth. So while he was here, he was all man. That means that he didn't do anything that any other man couldn't do, with the exception of the miracles. And I believe, it's my belief, it's a opinion, that all men could do those things if they knew how to do those things and if they were righteous enough to do those things. And the reason we can't do those things is because we're not righteous. That's what he said. I don't know if it's true or not. I never saw evidence of that. But he did talk about being able to do that, yes. But again, I never saw him do it, so I wouldn't know. But he also said that it was witchcraft. So that's not a gift from God. That's a gift from the other guy. Like he talked about learning when he was a young child how to use a penny to remove warts and things like that. That's witchcraft. That's not healing hands. And certainly not a gift from God. And how he could talk pain away. Like if you burned yourself, he could talk you out of burning. I don't know. I never saw him do it. But Debbie said she saw him do it. And I believe she believes that she saw him do it. I kind of think it's the power of suggestion, but again, that's my opinion. I was not there. But as far as God's gifts, I believe that every man, all can do the same things if their hearts are in the right place and minds are in the right place and they're pure enough. I believe they could do just about everything Jesus could do. Because remember, he told Peter to come out of the boat and walk with him on the water, and Peter took 2 steps before he lost his faith and fell into the water. 2 steps on the water. That's what a man did that had very little faith. Jesus had perfect faith, which is why he could do it. And also, he told the apostles, how long am I going to be here with you? When are you going to learn to do these things without me? Talking about casting out demons and such. So, that's where I get my opinion from. Those couple of examples. Nope, there isn't any righteous persons in the world. That's correct. And Grandpa wasn't evil. I don't think he served Satan. No, I don't think he did either, but I think he learned some bad things from his ancestors. My mom spoke of old magic and new magic, said old magic is the weave of the world and new magic is witchcraft and evil. Both are unbelievably dangerous, and I do agree with that. Now, whether she knew how to do those things or not, I don't know. I know we used to have lots and lots of conversations about lots and lots of things, but I never saw her do anything of that nature. But you spent more time with her than I did, so. And yes, witchcraft is evil. It is not of God, and if it's not of God, it's of the other guy. I know that Grandpa had an uncle or somebody or a dad, who knows, who was what he called a warlock. And I know that he renounced that way of living. He didn't like it. He didn't want to be part of it. So maybe he was saved. I don't know. But there are some strange things that happen in this world. Things that we would consider abnormal. But they've been around for a really long time. And, certain people know certain things. But then again, there's no such thing as magic. So it has to come from something. You understand what I'm saying? Magic doesn't exist. The abilities that some people exhibit come from something, an act or a recipe or a connection to something otherworldly. They come from somewhere. When Apollo 13 was stranded, the entire United States was focused on it, and there was even a national prayer for them to return safely. Yes, they thought they were going to die up there, and they came very close to doing so, but they managed to make it. I didn't know that about Grandpa. Yes. Of course, she also liked mushrooms, and they were surely magic. Well, that kind of magic does exist. And you might even talk to God if you eat enough of those things, or dolphins, or aliens. One item they used to fix the problem was actually chewing gum. That may be so. I know they had a vacuum cleaner and a roll of duct tape and probably some tinfoil, but that's about all they had. But if they had chewing gum, that'd probably be a good fix. You'd be surprised what you can make work when you're stuck in space. I've heard of guys spitting in their suit to seal up little tiny pinholes because the spit will find the hole and plug it up. Kind of interesting. A magical mystery tour. The Beatles, baby. Yeah. I don't much care for the Beatles. I respect what they brought to the table, but they don't really blow my skirt up, if you know what I'm saying. They did have a couple of cool songs, though. But anyway, Caucasian was talking about the Van Allen radiation belts earlier, and that is a bone of contention with the whole moon landing scenario because they didn't know about the Van Allen radiation belts when they went to the moon, and they know about it now, and nobody has ever said how they managed that because the Van Allen radiation belts contain enough radiation to kill a person, and there's two of them. And if you manage to survive getting through the first one, you're not coming out of the second one without at least cancer, you know. Yet all the astronauts survived and survived until they died of natural causes. And some of them are still alive. Although they all have funny looking eyes because their eyes filled with fluid when they were in space. That's why they look weird. Anyway, this is something you may not know about space. When you're in space, all of your bodily fluids shift because they're no longer being pulled down by gravity, and most of it pools in your head. So your head gets real fat, and all the fluid in your body settles in your face and in behind your eyes, and you get headaches real bad and nauseous, and you see little white specks in your eyes all the time. That's probably atoms flying through your head at interstellar speeds. Space is not interesting or fun. It's actually very dangerous, and everything there is trying to kill you. You are not supposed to be there. So every second you are there is a race against your life. And you can postpone that, but you can't stay there indefinitely because eventually you will die from it. You will succumb to it, which is probably why we don't live on the moon right now. That was the name of one of their tours, the Magical Mystery Tour. That about the time they went to India and started experimenting with heavy stuff. They all got shamans and started walking around tripping balls. I've never had an experience like that. I would like to try ayahuasca, which is a root that grows in South America. And when you mix it with an ANO inhibitor, such as a certain plant that grows there that you can make tea out of, and then mix this root in with it, you get a one-way ticket to heaven for about 15 hours. Kevin says, I believe we have an army in space. Well, we have a space force thanks to Donald Trump. Now, whether or not we have an active military presence in space at this particular moment, I've heard the rumors, but I've never seen any evidence of it. And I've seen quite a few space shuttles blow up, so I'm wondering how they got there. With any reasonable amount of, certainty that they'd make it back. So far as I know, only astronauts have been dumb enough to try that, strapping themselves to a rocket and blasting off. 220 tons of solid steel and gasoline made by the lowest bidder in a hurry. I also believe we have people on Mars. I truly believe it. I've heard that rumor also. I don't know if I believe it. I don't put it past us because we certainly could have done it. I mean, we have the technology now to go to Mars and stay there. Whether we've done that or not is a different story. I don't know. But I do know that there's quite a lot of money in black operations in the budget, where all it lists is that it's black budget. Doesn't tell you what the money's for. And you don't see any evidence of that money being spent in, say, the military, because we're still using 1970s or 1960s nuclear warheads. And we also still relatively use old. I think we just upgraded the helicopters that our military uses, like recently. Biden is really an alien? He may be. He damn sure looks like one, don't he? He may or may not be an alien, but he certainly ain't playing with a full deck. And I don't think he's in charge of our country right now either. I think he's prepared speeches and he goes out and speaks what he's told to speak, and then he goes back in, and I think that's all there is to it. I hadn't seen him do anything presidential. Have you? Have you seen him talk that any time since he's been president that he wasn't on a teleprompter? It is fascinating, though, Kevin, to think about the possibility of people being on Mars at the moment. There'd be no way for us to prove it or to question it. And if they're on Mars, they have their own world with no laws. Because it ain't like we could govern them from here, which is another fascinating idea in and of itself. Even on the moon, there would be no laws. Or the only laws that would be there are the ones that you could enforce yourself. I had an idea not too long ago to start the first space trucking company and start mining the asteroid belt. Send out small crafts a little bit larger than the space shuttle, but autonomous, driven by people on Earth like a video game. They're driving a video game, and in reality, there's something in space moving to their commands. And you could fly out just past Mars and even use Mars as a stopping station. And you could take these autonomous crafts and catch asteroids and then turn them around and fly back towards Earth with them. And you could deposit them on the moon or in the ocean, and then you could go and mine them for the raw materials, gold and platinum and such. Not only Biden, but probably his entire cabinet are aliens. Stalking our generation. You know who I think really is an alien? Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. Space is interesting and mysterious. It was to me when I was your age, too. Now it just seems dangerous and uninviting. The older I get, the less in love with space I become. The further I get away from watching Star Trek, the less in love with space I become. Because then I realize that Star Trek isn't possible. Namely, because you can't have gravity on a spaceship. So you wouldn't have the autonomy that they would have in Star Trek. And also because, anything that hits that thing is going to kill you. And there's lots of things in space to hit. Brad Pitt lives on Mars. Watch the movie. I did watch the movie. You're talking about Ad Astra? And that was a interesting movie, but it was very bland and very lackluster and very slow. as was Matt Damon. The Star Trek series. Sorry, Matt Damon also. Yes. It's very unsavory. Yes, it is. There is nothing in space beyond the asteroid belt that interests me. Now, there's the asteroid belt, and then there is the dust that is on the moon, because the dust on the moon contains a thing called helium-3. It's in the regolith. The regolith is like the dirt on the moon. It's very fine, very powdery, very sharp and jagged, and it'll cut you if you hold it in your hands. It'll slice you up like little razor blades. But that helium-3 can be mined out of the dirt, out of the dust, and you can take a 55-gallon drum of helium-3 and power New York City for the next 500 years with one 55-gallon drum of helium-3. That's how potent that stuff is. And I don't know why we're not getting it right now. As many times as we've been back and forth to the moon, I don't know why they haven't set up a program to do that very thing. It would cost a little money, yes. George Jetson, yeah. But it would be well worth it to do so. That, and I like my space trucker idea. Because if you think about it, you could mine the asteroid belt and you could kill two birds with one stone, no pun intended. You could get all the smaller asteroids out of the asteroid belt, thereby making it safer to travel in space and less likely that we'd be hit by an asteroid, a rogue one, in the future. And you could get all the precious metals out of those asteroids, because there's a lot of it up there, and use that to fund the future. Negative there, Kev. That wasn't me. What wasn't you? I said it before. It was a must-see for my dad back in the 80s, and he still loves it. You talking about Star Trek? Yes, me too. I like the old one, though. I don't like the newer ones. Does anyone here believe in UFOs? Yes, I believe in unidentified flying objects, but to someone, they're just FOs. They're only unidentified to me because I don't know what they are. Somebody does. I was at the coffee table with several attorneys yesterday and brought up the FBI investigating parents at PTA meetings. It brought up a stir from the attorneys. They all had read about it. Yeah? Well, what was their conclusion? Was it a positive stir, or were they all Democrats? I think I've seen several, says Diego. UFOs. I've never been to Mars. I've never been to Mars either. Next, they will start firing NFL coaches for 10-year-old emails. Well, they're already doing that. They are all upset. Well, they should be. And furthermore, you guys in the family law business ought to be protecting people like that. If you know how to do such a thing, you should do it. Because it's too late for me. They got me over a barrel and surprised me, and before I knew what was going on, they already had my family. But there are lots of people out there who need somebody with your knowledge to defend them. They need a champion. So you should probably invest in becoming that champion, or putting some people on it, because they're going to need you. I needed somebody like you. I needed it badly. And it was not available to me. So, if you could be that for somebody, do, because they will forever be in your debt. I have a hard time believing in UFOs, says Diego. So do I, because there's nothing out there. Space is empty. I hate to tell you that. if there are UFOs flying around Earth, and I believe that there are, they are one of two things. They are either technology that the governments haven't told us about yet, or they are celestial in nature. And if you read Ezekiel, then you know that angels and God himself move around in vehicles. And I would imagine those vehicles probably look pretty alien to us. Our universe, the cosmos, is a miracle of Almighty God. Yes, it is. And we are the reason it exists. This universe was created and is specifically tuned so that life on this planet alone can happen. There is no life anywhere else in the universe. And if there is, it's so far away we'd never see it. Kevin says they are out there. I have seen one. Christ is the perfect man. Yes, he was. He never sinned. No, he did not. I'm not convinced they're from space. I'm more concerned about parallel dimensions. I'm not. That's not possible. Not in any universe. But interdimensional might be possible. Parallel dimensions, no. Interdimensional, like within this universe, like another dimension, like the fifth dimension, sixth dimension, things like that, the hypercube and all that might be possible. Because, again, in the Bible, after Jesus' death, obviously he came back. 4 or 5 of his apostles were held up in a room, and they had all the windows and doors shut and locked. They were terrified because they thought the Romans were after them, and they were. And they thought they might get killed themselves, so they were hiding out. And then, while they were sitting at table eating dinner, Jesus broke bread with them. He wasn't in the room to start with, but he became in the room, and nobody could see how he came or went. And he appeared, and then he disappeared. So I believe he probably moved in between dimensions in a way that we can't see, but he can. Arnold Schwarzenegger found an alien? Okay. Not only the Romans, but also the Jews, yeah. So, hyperdimensions, yes. Parallel dimensions, as in the multiverse, no. That's not possible. Yes, those are the world's 3 major religions, and they are all 3 based on the same religion, by the way. I don't know. What I don't know won't hurt. I hear you, April. Danny Glover did too. And yes, Schwarzenegger has disappointed me also with his liberal ravings. He needs to learn how to keep his mouth shut. That's one thing. He said, "Screw your freedoms." And I was like, didn't you run for governor after coming to a country that, after leaving a communist country? Didn't you marry a Kennedy? Haven't you made billions making movies and lifting weights? I think you probably should be very grateful for freedoms in this country, buddy, and keep your mouth shut. I'll be back. April says, I agree. The other day, he revealed himself as an authoritarian. I didn't hear about that one. You just answered your question. What question? What question did I answer? Married a Kennedy. Why, yes. Yes, you did. and her name was Shriver, but she was a Kennedy. Yeah, screw your freedoms. Yeah, when he said that, that's when I turned away from Arnold Schwarzenegger. He has no right saying things like that. Why he says what he does? Because he married a Kennedy? Because he's been in the political sphere? Yes. I learned something new I didn't know. What the word Thor-tarian means. Thor-tarian? Is that authoritarian or Thor-tarian? As in God from Earth. Authoritarian is someone who believes in absolute power, and as long as it's mine. Thor-tarian means the god of thunder, which was created on Earth. Terran is Earth. Or Terra. Terran means from Earth. Thor is from the parallel universe of Asgard. If you say so. I think you should probably look into what the word Asgard means. But if you want to see it that way, you can. I'm driving now, so I can't text. I can only talk text, so I'll probably come out all wrong. Sorry about that, y'all. That's okay. We understand. We've been reading you for a while now. We know when you're talking crazy. Incidentally, Asgard is Middle Earth of the highest plane, but it's still Earth. It's not another dimension. It's another realm, but it's in Earth. Tell them about it, Caucasian. You know more about Thor than I do. And apparently the only way you can get there is from the, what do you call it, the Bifrost? Is that what it's called? I can't remember. Which is a bridge between that dimension and this one, or that plane and this one. Dimensions are different than universes, by the way. Another one that disappointed me was Bill Nye the Science Guy. Oh, that guy makes me sick to my stomach. Authoritarian should not be confused with a horitarian. I thought you were going to say an authoritarian should not be confused with a readeritarian. But I saw Odin Seas look pretty real to me. Always shilling, ain't you, Caucasian? Rainbow Road, yeah, Bifrost. Now he has been proven to be Bill Nye, the Science Guy. Well, that's not all he's proven. He's a pervert. You should see some of the stuff he's done. Like his last special. Or his last TV show, rather. Shameless plug. That's all you do anymore. You use me like a whore. And don't even leave $1 under my pillow. He is a CNN child. Yeah. Crazy News Network. Anyway, Bill Nye put out a show where he tried to sell this gender fluidity thing. And he did like a crazy perverted dance where he had all these hookers running around half naked and was talking about sex and all kinds of weird shit. And it was like, dude, what are you doing? I can't remember it all, but it was kind of strange. Papa Joe took my cookies. Papa Joe's an asshole. Anyway, look into it. His last TV show. It was recent. It was like maybe 3 years ago when he did it. Anyway, got one episode out and they laughed his ass off TV or canceled him or something. It didn't last very long. But it was weird and perverted. And that's Bill Nye for you. And by the way, Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson are both actors. They are not scientists. I have more degrees than Bill Nye does. I'm more of a scientist than he is. He has a degree in communicable engineering. That's it. Neil deGrasse Tyson at least has a scientific degree, but his is in being a speaker, a keynote speaker, not doing actual science. A lot of the truth is said on the CNN network. Oh, no, it's not. I don't know what you're talking about. CNN is full of shit as a Christmas turkey. They lie about everything. It is 100% partisan and 100% propaganda. There's no truth coming from CNN. I hope you are being sarcastic, because that's not correct at all. All propaganda, yes. CNN is a bad. I had to stop watching CNN. I used to watch all the programs. I'd watch Fox, MSNBC, and CNN, and then get some stuff from the internet. And I had to stop watching all of it because it got so sickening. I was getting mad enough to yell at the TV every time I turned around. The rainbow belongs to God. Well, it belongs to Noah. And the LGBT flag is a perversion of God's truth. That's correct. And they did that on purpose. That wasn't an accident. UCNN, huh? I was being sarcastic. Good. I certainly hope so, because that was freaking me out. Like, what are you talking about? CNN is horrible. I sent you a short edit. I think it's a juicy one. Cool. What about Fox News? Well, Fox News is partisan also, but at least you know that they're trying to tell the truth. They're trying to be fair and balanced. They're a whole lot more fair and balanced than anybody else is. But they still have their right wing bent also. It's not like they're innocent of that. They're still opinion news. It's not like in the old days when news was bipartisan and neutral, and they just told the news. They didn't put their opinions in. Now it's all about everybody's opinion. The difference between Fox and CNN is Fox admits that they're an opinion piece. Tucker Carlson will tell you that it's his opinion, that he's right wing. I get my news from YouTube and the streets. Well, that can be dangerous, but also smart if you choose your sources wisely. Jake. Yes, ma'am. Yes, April, you scared us. Fox is controlled opposition. Some of it is, not all of it. The one thing about Fox is that they're dedicated to freedom of speech. That's one thing. They will allow you to say whatever you want to say on Fox News. But the guys that run Fox News are liberals. The new family that took over after Roger Ailes died, they are liberals, but they allowed dissenting opinions on Fox News. CNN does not. You have to walk in lockstep or you don't get on CNN. And it is a load of dung. Yes, it is. Opinionatainment. Opinionatainment. I don't like media only local sometimes. Yeah, but the BBC is bad as CNN is most of the time, but they do have good reports. At least they have presenters that seem intelligent, even though they're as bad as CNN about lying. They don't have any Brian Stelters on BBC. And they do have a lot of great documentaries, Diego. That's a fact. They sound educated, right? That's the key. That's the difference between BBC and CNN is that BBC sounds educated. They're not, but they sound like they are. You put a British accent on anybody, a little posh accent, and they sound smart as hell. Don't know why, but they do. Yeah, all news media is left-leaning. All of it, even Fox. Except for the later shows like Tucker Carlson and the other guys, Can't think of their names right now. What's the little Irish guy? Shoot. Sean Hannity. You got Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, and Laura Ingraham, and Brett Baird, and a couple of those guys. Those guys are right-leaning, but anything during the day and anything on the rest of Fox News, like the different programs before nighttime, it's all left-leaning. April says Applebee's smells evil. They might be evil. Ew. Did somebody fart in Applebee's? All right, you guys want to see my guns? Let's start off with the pistols. Here is the 1950s, late 40s ISA Italian-made 22 single action, single shot pistol. Has 6 bullets, but you can only shoot them one at a time. That's this one. Very nice. Made to look like a Colt Peacemaker. Fits in the hand good. Very nice. Is loaded. I shot this yesterday. This is my 1907 32 long Smith & Wesson. Very nice. Neat. On to the ale house. Squatch and Diego are free to join us. That's not a knife. That's a knife. That's my old hunting knife. Roof. This is my 22 rifle. Let's see if I can get it in here. Notice that it has a clip. Holds 14 rounds. Very nice 22 shot. Is loaded. Accurate to 100 yards. I can take the eye out of a squirrel with this thing, no problem. Smith & Wesson are good guns. That one's a good gun, and it shoots true at 20 yards. And if you know anything about pistols, you know that's amazing. I don't own a Ruger. This is a 22. I have no idea what kind it is. Doesn't say. I mean, I'm sure it says, I just can't see it. It's probably a Remington. I don't know, it's a Walmart gun, so. This is a double barrel pre-war 12 gauge. Very old gun. You see that pretty good? 2 triggers. See the 2 triggers? Looks like a Ruger 14, whatever it is. I don't know what it is. Look at the barrel on that thing. Stocky. 2 triggers. Wooden stock. Pre-war. 12 gauge. Double barrel. Nice. And this one is called like a Big Tom or something like that. Tom Special. Something special. It's called a Big Tom. Anyway. Here's the Big Daddy. Look how long the barrel is on this one. There's the beginning of it. Check this out. You see how long that barrel is? This is also a 12 gauge single. This is a Baker pre-war 12 gauge. Sorry. You get an idea how long that gun is? Bird gun. This one will take down a mule. And it's got JM carved into the side of it. So whoever that is. Anyway, those are my guns. 5 of them. Anyway. Hey, Mr. Mercer. Good to see you, my friend. I'm just showing off some guns. I was trying to think if there's anything else I can show you here. My 2 pocket knives. Very slender blades, but sharp as razors. That's it. I'm not showing you my old timer because it's over there in my lunchbox. But that old timer of mine belonged, and then it came to me when my uncle died. Did I lose you guys? Am I still here? Never forget the puckle gun? I don't know what that means. Then rifles came along. Hang on. What did I miss? A Mini 14, a Ruger. Interesting how we talked about planets and they all got their names from ancient Greek and Roman gods and goddesses. Yeah, well, they all got their name from scientists who named them after Greek gods and goddesses. It looks like a Ruger 14, whatever it is. Well, it's a 22, but it does kind of have a Ruger look to it. But I got to get a magnifying glass to see what name brand is on that one. The double barrel is something special. It's kind of rusted out, and it's called a Big Tom 12 gauge, 2 barrels. And the long one is a Baker. Both of them are pre-war. It is about the late 14th century when cannons began to be used. Yep. Then rifles came along. Remember Leonardo da Vinci? No, I don't remember him. I never met him. But I know who you're talking about. They say he invented the gun. He did not. Where's the bazooka? Well, that's hidden in my pants. Never forget the puckle gun. I don't know what that is. 5 out of 5. Thank you, sir. Little bazooka. The puckle gun is my favorite useless gun from history. Are you talking about a blunderbuss? I think that's what you might be talking about. Is that the one you can load anything into and shoot? Like forks and knives and nails and anything else? Put some gunpowder in it and fire? Da Vinci was a genius and a great inventor, but he did not invent the gun. And a heck of a painter. He was a painter, Da Vinci. No, look up the puckle gun. I will look it up. I don't know what you're talking about. It's a thing. I'm sure it is a thing. What gun isn't a thing? Da Vinci did invent the helicopter, though, and several other weapons of war, but he did not invent the gun. Guns been around a long time. They were making guns back in ancient Egypt. They had things that could fire with gunpowder. It wasn't like a gun that we would use today. It was more like a cannon. It was a bamboo reed wrapped in rope. It's like an Erling Gatling build. I got you. But it's a giant revolver. I know what you're talking about. Speaking of Gatling guns, the first one was ran by a rotor. You know, you'd rotate it and it would turn the wheel, and that would feed in the bullets. And then eventually they motorized it. Neil deGrasse Tyson is an atheist, but he is actually a conservative, is he now? He's not very smart, I know that. They are more pro-science than the Democrats are. That's a fact. We believe in real science. Democrats believe in pseudoscience or religious science, capital S science. Like gender is fluid. It's not. Just like Dave Chappelle said, every human being that you've ever met had to pass through the legs of a woman to be here. Guarantee gender is a fact. There's one or the other, a pink one and a blue one. It's time for bourbon and fish and chips. Yep. All I'm eating tonight is a handful of combos. I was too tired to go get some dinner after I got off work. Worked late. And had to get home to do the podcast. Take a nap before I got started. Tried to fill a glass with gender, but it started to smell. Ew. The left tries to use science against us Christians and conservatives, saying that we believe in fairy tales. Well, they can say what they want to say. They don't make them right. Yeah, right on, Squatch. Yeah, they believe in fanciful science. We believe in actual science, like biology and chemistry, and you know, all the other sciences. Every science field was started by a Christian. Believe that. It's true. All of them. Medicine, the whole nine. They were all started by Christians. Then they were co-opted in the 1700s, 1600s. And that began at Cambridge, that famous English school where they had meetings about how to get rid of God because it went against their sexual mores and freedom of choice. If I splashed my fluid gender on someone, I'd go to jail. But they spew theirs all over. Ew. That's gross, man. If you splashed your fluid gender on someone, you'd be riding a subway in New York City wearing a trench coat. Most likely. What do you say, Mr. Mercer? How you doing tonight? It's good to see you, my friend. You hadn't said a whole lot since you got here. Hilarious. I did believe in fairy tales up until I figured out by going the same roller coaster ride in life. It's not. Yeah. How did you know? Doing well, says Mr. Mercer. Well, I'm glad to hear it. I got to shoot my 32 yesterday. I went over to my sister's after work and squeezed off about 12 rounds and sighted her in. And she packs quite a punch, by the way. You wouldn't expect it. It's pretty powerful. It's about like shooting a 38. I'm enjoying listening tonight. Well, we've covered some kind of ground. The only thing we haven't talked about is what comes next. The future agenda. The agenda moving forward. Good to hear, says Caucasian. It's not only real, it's not real, but only for some seasons. What are you talking about, April? Are you talking about fairies? I believe we need Tom plan a vacation. We need to plan a vacation together. Squatch, Diego, Jake, and all the others. I believe you're right. The best is yet to come. Yeah. Damn spell check. Yeah, I got you. I caught what you were saying. We all need to plan a vacation and go meet each other and have a cookout or something. Hang out. Get hammered and talk about space and God and fairies. About fairy tales. Love Cinderella and all that stuff. It's a big fat lie. Well, it's not a lie, it's a story. Nobody's ever said Cinderella was a true story. It's entertainment. It's not a lie, it's the best possible scenario for entertainment purposes, like a love song. I want to cook a pig or some fish. That sounds great. I'll bring the hot dogs and bourbon. Hot dog. Hot dog, hot dog, hot diggity dog. Hot dog, hot dog, hot diggity dog. I'll bring my winning personality and my Harley Davidson. That's about all I got. But I'll bring it. I'll bring some Mountain Dew. Go Mickey Mouse Club member, Jake. Well, you caught that, did you? Boop. Hot dog, hot dog, hot diggity dog. Hot dogs are so good, but if you really knew what was in them, you'd never want to eat one again. That's a fact. And I do know what's in them. I've worked at a hot dog factory before, and I can tell you there are things in hot dogs that don't belong in hot dogs. Can you do the hot dog dance? If I'm on all fours. Yeah. I have kids, you know. I saw some things. I've been scarred. I'm glad you agree and know, yay. Even many atheists are conservatives and have spoken against Bill Nye and the evil Richard Dawkins. Let's call him Richard Strawkins because he attacks faith with strawman arguments. Yes, he does. I avoid undefined animal parts. Well, you don't want to eat a hot dog then, because there's animal parts in there and people parts and every other kind of thing parts that might fall into that. They don't clean it out, and they have a margin of error that's about 40%. That means that 40% of non-hot dog things can be in hot dogs before they pull the plug and say it's time to clean out the vat. I try not to eat, but only the beef ones. Yeah, if you're going to eat a hot dog, make sure it's beef. Don't get the ones that's got everything in it, because I mean everything's in it. But even the beef ones are nasty. I do the hot dog dance with CJ. Yippers. I don't much like hot dogs all that much, though. I might eat one every now and then, but I'd never, buy them to eat. I'd much rather eat fried bologna, which is about the same thing as a hot dog, really. It's the same meat, just in a different form. But at least when you fry it, you can kill some of the things that are in it, maybe. There's something to be said for a good fried bologna and mustard sandwich. It's pretty good. Hey, maybe we can bring the Japanese guy and have a hot dog eating contest. What Japanese guy? Do we have a Japanese guy? Or are you just talking about a generic Japanese guy? Any Japanese guy? Dry aged bologna. Yes, sir. I like to fry it and then put it on mustard on toast. That's a good sandwich right there. It's got a flavor, you know what I mean? All beef bologna, by the way. None of that chicken garbage. That ain't good at all. You know what it makes me want to do? It makes me want to.
VJ, now I lay me down to sleep. Pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake, VJ, my best friend, right through it all, VJ. If I die before I wake,
VJ. All right. Won't you hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon so you get notifications of when I'm going to be here? Smash that like button, but smash it once. But smash it hard, but smash it once. Share this video with somebody you love, better yet. Share it with somebody you don't love. Bring them into our family. Make them part of the fold. Be part of their solutions, not part of their problems. And leave a comment down below and let me know what you're thinking. By the way, question me, curse me, bless me, challenge me, confront me, conform with me, drink your Kool-Aid, drink my own Kool-Aid. Drink some Mountain Dew, as long as you're thinking. That's what I want. Critical thought coming from that brain of yours. And if you like what you've heard tonight and you would like to be part of it and make us grow and reach more people and do special things and see dolphins, won't you take a moment and go to paypal.me/JakeJohnsonBand. Every little bit helps, and I greatly appreciate the confidence and support. And with that, I will take your questions and comments. And yes, Apollo 11 did go to the moon. Apollo 13 never made it. I put in the bottom of my refrigerator and forgot about it. What? Aged bologna? Dry aged bologna? I got you. By the way, it was Apollo 11 that landed on the moon. There were several others after that. Yes, 3 others after that. Yes, that's what several means. The moon looks a lot like the Arizona desert. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Desert or an island? No, it looks like the Arizona desert, like specifically like off Route 66, like before the area that's known as 1 more than 50. In gray. I've even seen photographs of people standing at the hill that they used in the background of the moon shots. And you can compare them. Even the rocks are in the same place still. and the surface is interchangeable, but that hill, they just keep reusing the same little two-mounded hill. Yeah, there's some fuckery going on with the moon landing pictures, for sure. There's some fuckery afoot, for sure. Strange things are afoot at the Circle K. Whoa, for sure. You know? That's my Keanu Reeves impersonation. Not a very good one at that. Shh. Mountain Dew. I love Mountain Dew. Let me see if I can find that for you. I want to read you something here. I wrote this for my cuz last night at 4 a.m. with very sleepy eyes. Where are you? Yeah. Now where did it go now? There ain't nothing better than a cold Mountain Dew. It ain't no lies. You know I tell it like it's true. I call it the nectar of God. It's the whole shebang. It's better than Coke, Kool-Aid, or Tang. Give you stance in your pants. It's the breakfast of champs. Suck it right down like a gaggle of vamps. It's my belly gel, so you can kiss my tail. It makes my heart start like I'm snorting a rail. It gets my tummy plumbing, running. Fills my bladder up till it's humming. I drink a bottle or a can, but I'm a 2-liter fan. And if I ain't got one in me, I'm a fighting madman. Don't you know for sure? So come at me, bro. I'm all jacked up and I'm ready to flow. I love Mountain Dew, though it might be full of crap. That's why at 4 a.m. I write a stupid little rap. Yo, worth every penny. How about that? I love you, True Jake, and I love you guys. It was fun. I enjoyed this conversation tonight. So did I. In gray. I've had a blast. I've enjoyed it immensely. It's good. These are the kind of conversations that sell. People like to hear people talk about things that are important. I enjoyed the conversation. What's the plan for Friday? What's later on the agenda? Well, I thought maybe we might read some articles on Friday. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. Might do a little research. Come into some information. I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. Any suggestions? Spit it out and I'll do it. But to be sure, we'll have a good conversation. We always do. We might get into the finer points of quantum mechanics and interdimensional beings with large foreheads. Who knows? Either way, I have immensely enjoyed tonight, and I'm tuckered, and I got to get up early in the morning, so I'm going to go to bed. But I love you guys with all my heart. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. Thank you for the great conversation. I truly, thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't wait till Friday where we can do it all over again, baby. I hope you liked the rap that I wrote at 4 a.m. It's a little disjointed, but it was 4 a.m. and I was very sleepy, and I just woke up, and I wrote it for my cuz. So, I love you. Good night. Thank you for watching. Good night, Mr. Mercer. Good night, Caucasian. I'll check out my email and see what you sent me. If, in fact, that's who you were talking to. I don't know. I hadn't checked my email yet. But, either way, I've been making sure to like all your O'd and C's videos and giving you the view anyway. It's a good thing to have people to help each other out. See if we can't make something happen here. Build our own little network of folks. And by the way, one of these days, Wednesday or Friday, I would like to get one of you guys on to have a conversation about something real. Maybe me and Caucasian can get together and talk wax rhapsodic about something philosophical and entertain your pants off. That's what we're doing here. Trying to entertain your pants off. I'm about to take mine off and go to bed. I love you guys. Have a great night. Take care of yourselves and each other. Take a moment and be kind to somebody. See where that gets you in life. See what happens when you initiate the reciprocal nature of our universe. When you give, watch it pour back in on top of you. That's how it works. You got to give to receive. You can't receive unless you give. So be nice to somebody. Help an old lady across the street. Return some library books. Do something that's in the good deed realm and watch it work for you. And with that, take that knowledge to bed tonight and reflect on it. And when you wake up tomorrow, put it into action. See what happens. I love you guys. Thanks for watching.